Hello, everyone. What a privilege to be here today. But today is about metamorphosis, metamorphosis of love, inner transformation, transformación interior, metamorphosis of love, metamorphosis de amor. The first thing that comes to mind when we start talking about metamorphosis, what it is, a beautiful butterfly. And this is the picture we have there. But how hard it can be sometimes to become that beautiful butterfly. How hard it is to get that point from the cocoon to the point you are flying in the garden as a beautiful being. Not easy. If for the butterfly we don't know, we can ask to a butterfly, but we don't really know. But we do know how hard it is for us to suffer that metamorphosis. And this is exactly what we're going to share with you. We all looking in life for things like self-esteem. We want to improve our relationship. We want to be like having a better emotional life, right? We want to be successful. Some are looking for belonging. Some are looking for acceptance. We're all looking to get there. But sometimes that path is not easy. It's hard to get there. Life brings us some challenging stuff. Challenge all the time. Today I want to share with you 5 dimensions. 5 dimensions that will guide us and help us how to get through this and become that beautiful butterfly. So I want you guys hold me. And the first one is survival. Survival is a dimension. What we're looking for is a change of perception. Change the perception of you have, the perception that you have in your life. And that's not easy. There is times you're not looking for being happy. You're not looking for accomplishing a dream. You're not looking for accomplishing a goal. You just need to survive. One more step. One more day. That's what it takes. That's what we need. When I was 6 years old, and I want to go deeper. If you guys are with me going in this journey, I want to go deeper. First time sharing my personal life that I never did before in public. Only my family that's here knows. When I was 6 years old, you know, my mom ran away with my little brother and I. And a few months later, we were brutally taken from my mom, and my life changed. A few months later, my dad married again. Before I was 7, my dad married again. And then everything changed for us. We already had a hard life. It was already difficult. But then it became a nightmare. Very difficult. We started living a life what a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. If for the ones over here and the ones listening on YouTube know that when you live in a life like that, it can be difficult. You feel like there's no way out, especially for a kid. Imagine a 7, 8, 10 years old kid. There's nowhere to go. It can be really, really hard. And our life took a different direction. By the time that I was 11 years old, I was really tired. You know, that sense of feeling lost, there was no sense to leave. It was just my brother and I. We were feeling like no hope. Hopeless, completely hopeless. And for giving you guys a little bit of understanding, some perspective here, at that time that I was 11, that was the worst time of my life. We used to live in downtown Curitiba, South Brazil, my hometown. And my dad used to work in a building doing all the maintenance. But really not only the maintenance, he was engaged in everything. We used to take care of the entrance, you know, people go in and out, the elevators, cleaning the stairs, cleaning the bathrooms. It was like a family job, right? So we all deeply involved in all this. Even my brother that was 7 years old at that time. And we used to live in a big building, that's 10th floor building. And for us to accomplish that job, what we need to have a house in that building because it was a 24/7 building job, so we need to live in the building. So imagine my life as a kid was, we living on the rooftop, literally on the rooftop, a small house, right? And then we have like the whole roof was surrounded by a containing wall, 3 feet containing wall, only 3 feet. Imagining, and that was the place that my brother and I used to go out and play when we were allowed, when there was no adults in the place, right? And that day, I remember that morning in my life that changed my whole life. It changed the perspective of who I am. I remember I was in despair. I was feeling really sad. And I was feeling the word is tired. I was feeling really, really, really tired. Couldn't go no more. So I was sitting in this container wall, my legs hanging, right, outside the wall. And I was confused and I was ready to quit. I was ready to go. And it was at that time that I was, immersed in my feelings and my thoughts. Then I see my brother, he opened the door from the kitchen going to the patio. And once I get to the patio, he looked at me, and I know, I couldn't see his face because I was not paying attention, but I know he was scared. And he asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Sorry, brother, I cannot go anymore. This is it. I can't, I'm too tired. I have no hope. I'm so sorry, but this is it. I cannot keep going." And he didn't say a word. What my brother did was he walked towards me, right? He approached. He went up on the container wall with one leg on one side, the other leg on the other side. He was looking at me. He said, "If you jump, I jump." This was the moment in my life. This is when I said it, I started getting mad. No, you cannot do that. Why are you going to do that? This is something that you are such a beautiful kid. You have a wonderful future in front of you. You can accomplish things that will pass. And one day you'll be adults and we're going to accomplish your dreams. We can make it. Then I understood. For the first time in my life, I understood that all the words that I was telling him, I was telling myself. Was that moment in my life that I realized that I was important for someone, and there was someone that was really important for me, so I could not quit. That was the time in my life that I changed my way that I see life, my perception of life, and I changed it. I stopped being a victim, and I decided to be a warrior. I decided to be a survivor for the first time, and that changed my life. Thanks to my brother, how much wisdom in a 7-year-old boy. Dimension number 2, belonging and create a new sense of emotional intelligence comes to the dimension number 2. Adaptability or adaptation. This is the part in life that you kind of start adjusting yourself to the environment, adjusting to the problem, to the situation. You start looking, life is giving you lemonades. Okay, lemons, let's have lemonades, right? So this is the time you adjust your life and try to suffer less and accomplish more. This is a great phase because you start empowering your emotional intelligence. Even as a kids, I remember we start trying, how can I lead with that? How can I talk to that person? How can I make a difference? How can I make the suffer be less and less and less? Dimension number 2. Dimension number 3, maturity, amadurecimiento. This is a time when you realize, you come into the things, you realize that's possible to make it. This is 3 keys that I recommend for this to happen, to go through that metamorphosis. 3 keys important. The first one is to believe in yourself. Believe who you are. Believe that you can do it. The second one is very important too, is forgiveness. How important is forgiveness for you to go on? I have to learn at early age how important it was to getting rid of the luggage. Let it go, the luggage. Because that does not belong to me. Forgiveness. And the third one is feel proud of who you are. This is the time that you look at the mirror, but not at the nice mirror, the broken mirror, the one that showed your defects, your weaknesses, the one that showed your scars, what you've been through. And once you are really, really proud of that person, then you can build a house in a solid ground. Then you can say, I'm powerful, I'm stronger, I can make this happen, I can do whatever I want, I can accomplish my dreams. But first, you need to look at you, who you really are. Build the house in a solid ground, because that's what we expect to do. That's the only way to accomplish. Number 4 is enlightenment, alumbramiento en español, right? Is when you get that point in your life that you accomplish your dreams, you accomplish your goals, and you realize that things are possible. You have a better understanding why things happen in your life, and you start applying that learning. Oprah in her show used to say those aha moments, and I kept that in my mind. Who doesn't remember that? Those aha moments that gets to you and makes you feel like, okay, I can do this, I can understand now. And then is the time that you change your beliefs. You're not like limited for your beliefs, old beliefs that maybe does not belong to you, but you start creating a new system of values, principles, and beliefs. And that's gonna lead you to the next stage of your life. This is in the metamorphosis of love, in the metamorphosis de amor. We're gonna call dimension number 5 spiritual metamorphosis, or metamorphosis espiritual. This is when you get to the point that we understand that for us to get better, to get to that point, we can live a life full of kindness, full of love, with a high sense of empathy, and we start making a difference. I went with that story. My wife and I, that's present over here, we were recently married. I was around 25 years old. And I remember I got an invitation to do a closing for a retrieve about forgiveness. And I remember, I tell the story, I remember it was a school at a gym, a basketball gym, and it was packed, full of kids, 14, 15 years old. There's all, there was no place, nowhere to go. Even to get to the scenario, I was like this, trying to get there, And I remember that day was beautiful. Because talking about forgiveness, it's amazing. We all know what it is. We all understand the power of forgiveness in our lives. So for me, that day was wonderful. People were crying. People were hugging. At the end, people had, different emotions. People getting rid of the luggage. That was so beautiful. But I was not happy. I started creating doubts in my life. Once I finished the conference, I started creating doubts in my life. I say, okay, maybe this is not. This is just emotion. Just like a beautiful song that you heard, and say, okay, it's nice. It makes you emotional, but then it's gone. You become the same person you were before. That was my thought, my feeling, messing with me. And I remember my wife and I, we start coming out, together, and in the middle of the hall, because we have another event to attend. So we're coming out, and there was just one A. There was one big door like this. That was the only way out of the gym. So once we were coming out, and almost getting to the door, I remember a little girl, like 14, she just fainted in front of me. And I don't know how, but I was fast enough to grab her in my arms, and I have that girl in my arms, right? And I took her, she was unconscious. Then, asked someone help, and they lead us to the infirmary. And once we were there in the infirmary, she started coming back to her conscience again. And she started talking and talking. She was sharing with me, and she was crying. She said how hard her life was because her stepdad. And she was crying, she was telling me that she had no hope before and that she was ready to quit her life. She couldn't bear anymore. She was ready to leave, to quit, till that day. After the conference, she understood the power of forgiveness. And she told me, but because I would start hugging her, she was holding my hands, she started crying, and I remember that feeling, and she hugged me, right? She told me, but don't worry, now I have hope. And then everything come to me. Full circle. I picture my little brother, 7 years old, making a difference in my life, showing me how important it was to leave. I picture him, right, coming to me and saying, if you jump, I jump, changing my life, made a difference in my life. And that night on the school, I was making a difference in someone's life. What was the difference of that 14 years old girl? Escondido, dare to be different. Dare to make a difference. Dare to live a life with love, kindness, empathy, making a difference in the community. Dimension number 5 is just right about that, making a difference and become that metamorphosis, something very special, but that belongs to you and who you are. Thank you, Escondido. God bless you all.